Hello there, Internet. My name is Jimothy Jams. And today, I want to talk about another online game. There's a third one I'm recording today. This one might be longer than the other ones, because I've got quite a bit to say about this game. But the game I want to talk about in this video is Marvel's Avengers, the Avengers game. This is a game that's been quite controversial. No, by controversial, I mean it has not been well received. So, to kind of give you a bit of background, the reason I even play this game is I was never gonna even pick up this game. But I remember I was excited for because this I remember the development for this game got announced sometime after Spider-Man PS4. So people were kind of thinking it's like an Avengers game, like in that kind of way. It's not the same thing. Pretty much, I was excited and then I saw the trailer, the reveal trailer, and then I looked and I saw what the Avengers looked like, and I said to myself, "No ways, nah, not me, not gonna buy this game. This game looks like trash. The Avengers look like the Avengers, but not the Avengers, the Na-Vengers, because they're not the Avengers." But anyway. A few months later, just before release, when they had the beta, I played the beta and I changed my mind a little bit. I wanted the game. Because, and that's what I want to sort of get into. I want to get into the gameplay. This game, I want this game to succeed, right? I see a lot of potential here. Right, and if they can give enough updates and stuff, and actually sort of fix the problems that I'm gonna go into now, this game could be like top tier. This game could do really well. And like so the game. So I want to talk about the gameplay first. That's just going to be how I approach, because the gameplay is in any game the most important part, unless we're talking story games. Yeah, because in story games the story is just as important as the gameplay, even though the gameplay is maybe slightly more important. But anyway, so I want to now say maybe the few positive things about this game. So the gameplay, until you've played it for a while, the gameplay is very fun. The reason why I think this game has potential is it seems like a very cool idea. Just imagine a game where you and your buddies can be the Avengers, can be different Marvel characters, and just kind of you do missions and stuff. It sounds it's very fun. But so for the game, so when because I started playing on release, obviously, and in release there were only a few heroes. It was Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, Black Widow, and Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel. So 6 heroes pretty much. And now as of today when I'm recording. We've gotten 4 new characters. We've gotten Hawkeye, who should have been in the game already. Kate Bishop, who shouldn't have been released so close to Hawkeye. We've got Black Panther, and we've got Spider-Man, except if you're on Xbox. GG, buddy, if you're watching this and you're an Xbox player. But pretty much... I want to talk about what the game gets right very well, and that is hero development. What I like about this game is that all the heroes play like how they should. They feel like it's. I know it's a bit of a meme where people it's like the IGN reviewer saying shit like, "Oh, this Batman game really makes you feel like Batman." Oh, this Spider-Man game really makes me feel like Spider-Man. But I mean, it's not exactly inaccurate, like an inaccurate sort of thing. Captain America who's like my main guy. I enjoy playing with him because he's like he's a bit more challenging to play with. I feel like, but pretty much yeah. All the heroes they feel good. Like Captain America, it feels nice to throw his shield. Also, their skill trees are pretty deep. And, like there's a lot of customization to like builds and stuff, which I feel like is a good is like a good thing to make you get invested into like building character how you want and all that stuff. You know, like it feels good to like lock on with Captain America's shield and hit a bunch of guys, and then to kick the shield in midair. It feels good to like run on walls, throw the shield, throw it again, kick it, shit like that. I really appreciate that. Hulk, feels fun. I feel like with Hulk they maybe could have gone a bit more like advanced with him, because pretty much what Hulk can do is he can like, pick people up. He can pick up enemies, and he can do moves like he can pick up like two, and he can like bash them together. He can jump rope with them to do like damage around. Thor also feels like Thor. How he should tell he can fly. He's one of the few characters that can fly, like Iron Man. He's out here like chucking his hammer. The hammer pins people. He can like pin someone with the hammer. Then like you can hit R2, which makes he puts electricity through the hammer, so it hurts that enemy. He can he can like chuck his hammer, run, and then like call it back and bring it down. So stuff like that. Like hero, like in terms of like how each hero plays is pretty good. I think that's like the one big thing the game has in its favor. It is initially is very fun. Black Panther is a very fun character to play as well. He got added an expansion. He throws these like vibranium daggers as like he's ranged. He's like Captain America. He runs on walls, but he can he can jump a little bit better. But Black Panther is very fun. He's got like each hero has like 3 abilities. Like so, Black Panther's is he can throw these beads, which sometimes heals people or like attacks enemies depending on which one you want. He does this one where he like summons like a giant like spectral panther that like attacks people, and sometimes you can also get to a point where you can like lower these like what's the word? These Wakanda warriors like fight with him. And then what's his like right ability? I forget what that one was. Oh yeah, he throws a spear, which can pin people and stuff. And also Black Panther can kind of pounce on people and then kind of like ground and pound them, which I think is cool. Iron Man, he's got rockets, lasers, and like the repulsors. Obviously, his ultimate, he turns into the Hulkbuster, which is fun. Miss Marvel, I didn't like so much, but I'll get into that why when I talk about like the story, like the campaign, because it does have a campaign. Not a very good one, but it has one. The Hawkeyes, yeah, Kate Bishop. I think Kate Bishop really was the first one to release, which I thought was dumb. It should have been Hawkeye. But they did that for story reasons, because whenever a character releases, it's like they've got like their own little story, which is like 8 hours of like content before nothing, for a couple months. But anyway, so yeah, whatchamacallit, Kate Bishop and Hawkeye play very similar to each other. I also feel like, which I feel like is why they shouldn't have been released so next to each other. Because like after Hawkeye came out, it was cool because it's Hawkeye, but also I remember feeling kind of disappointed, like kind of not as hyped as I should be, because after Kate Bishop, they're almost identical. No, I mean they are different in terms of how they play, but they're both arrow ranged characters. And then Spider-Man. I think a lot of people shit on like how Spider-Man is in the Avengers game. But he's definitely doesn't. He's not as fun to play with as he is in his own game. But I don't know. I do enjoy like Spider-Man doesn't play badly. He does feel like fun to play. The only thing I really dislike is his range, which he shoots like the web, but he shoots them really like slow. It's like, pew, 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 where it should be like, pew, 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 you know, it should be a rapid fire type thing, but it's not. It's a very like, pew, 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 pew. It feels kind of lame. Um, the web swinging is obviously never going to be as good as Spider-Man PS4, but that's because Spider-Man PS4 was designed for only Spider-Man. It's his game, so the web swing was always going to have be like the engine, the physics in the game were going to work around like that mechanic. Whereas in Avengers, it wasn't really built for Spider-Man individually. So Spider-Man just kind of has like an infinite web. Even if there's nothing to attach to, the web like attaches to like air and he swings off it, which I don't know if you really weren't expecting that. I don't know what to tell you because they were always going to do that. That was the only way they could have gotten the web swinging. Because what is the alternative? The Spider-Man doesn't swing on webs, then it's not Spider-Man. But yeah, I don't know. I thought Spider-Man was decent, but that's not the problem with the game. And I want to tell you what the problem with the game, what the fundamental issue with this game is, and that is. There's nothing to fucking do. So still talking about gameplay. I wanna sort of the one criticism I could say, while each video feels fun to play, is the way the game in terms of like doing damage and like builds and stuff, the game favors ranged builds for everybody. There's not really melee, there's not really a viable melee, there's no melee build that you can do for a character that's ever gonna be as good as just their ranged build. And I think there's also this other mechanic because there's like elements, some gear have like elements. So say, there's like a battery effect where you can like multiply your damage. So pretty much say you use gamma and so the enemies get like a gamma status effect. And then you hit them with like lightning, which is because there's positive and negative. So if gamma is like negative and like lightning's positive, then that does like a damage multiplier. It's called the battery effect. But yeah, this favors ranged builds, and I think the most powerful build in the game is a ranged build of Thor. You just have like whatever element is like opposite of lightning, because Thor already has lightning of his like base kit, right? So. Yeah, and it's like that's so dumb because you want to play melee, or at least I do. I want to like hit people. I don't want to just stand from a distance and shoot at them. I don't want that, But the way the game's made, so that's a big issue in terms of gameplay. There's you should be able ideally you should be able to sort of fully be able to do a ranged build and it's OP and everything. But there should also be like a melee build that you can do that is equally as good. So it's like for like how different people play. So it's more sort of free, for like how the individual user wants to play, and like they don't feel forced to sort of, even if they want to be like a melee player, like they want to like punch and shit, they don't feel forced to just do ranged because that's what's gonna have the best damage output. So that's like one thing they really need to fix. But now I want to tell you what the fundamental. Well, actually, before I do that, I think I should talk about the story mode, which I want to do now. Okay, so now I'm gonna talk about the story, the campaign in this game. And if you're expecting like top tier writing and storytelling, yeah, this is not the game. You don't buy this game for the story mode. Story mode's trash. It's not even like it's an egregiously badly written. It's not very well written. But it's not. I wouldn't say it's like bad. It's like terrible. It's just very like It's pretty much like a B movie for Avengers. It's the basic plot is the main character is Kamala, whom I guess I don't know why they picked her because she doesn't really have cool powers. She's got stretchy. She's like Mr. Fantastic. She stretches. But yeah, Miss Kamala's like a big Avengers fan. She's like a nerd for Avengers, and she wins like this fucking thing where she writes a story. So she goes to this thing called 8A, which is like a big fucking circle jerk for the Avengers, and for plot related reasons, she pretty much meets almost every Avenger while she's there. In like the first level, But then what happens is AIM fucking attacks, and AIM, you get used to them because you're gonna fight them for like the foreseeable future. They're gonna be fighting robots for a whole. The first mission is arguably the best. It's the one that feels more like it because this is where they kind of give you a basic on like how each one plays. You switch from like Kamala to like Iron Man to like Hulk to like Black Widow. Like you play through all of them. But pretty much what happens is you I forget exactly, but um, yeah, the helicarrier, like something happens with it, goes down, and like Aim's trying to like spread this gas or something, and it goes down, and Captain America goes down with it, and everyone thinks he's dead. Spoiler alert: he's not dead because he's in the game, so you have to play as him, so can't actually die. But yeah, eventually the Avengers break up. It's kind of like a bad Civil War, not Civil War, Age of Ultron with the Sokovia Accords. It's like it's that kind of vibe, but you not as good. Yeah, so pretty much, and then like for a while you just play as Hulk because that's the first one, like Kamala. Because essentially what happens is when when the head character goes down, and you that's how I think they don't ever outright say, but it's implied that's how Kamala gets her powers because because then you get a bunch of people called Inhumans, which are basically normies with superpowers, and they're like kind of hunted, they're like mutants kind of. But yeah, that's how Kamala gets her powers, and then she eventually finds the Hulk, and then it basically is like the Avengers coming back together and stuff like that. And it's very much just, it feels like somebody just kind of, it feels like somebody like told an AI to watch a bunch of Avengers movies and then write one. It's a very basic plot. They do a whole, and I think the reason they picked Kamala as the main character was for like diversity reasons. She's Muslim. So she's like a minority, and like it's like a representation thing, I think. But I was surprised because they didn't really fucking hammer. I was a little bit impressed with them. They didn't really hammer home. I was expecting them, considering how the movie was, like the story was, I was really expecting them to sort of hammer home the like the fact of that she's Muslim. I was really expecting them to sort of just constantly bring it up for no reason. But they kind of only brought it up once or twice. I think there's like the only one that can really like sticks out to me was when Iron Man's talking to Thingy, to like Kamala, but she's got the little, I don't know what it's called, but the little, I don't want to say something insensitive here, but the little hood thing, like it shows that like it's like a little scarf thing that like Muslim people wear. She does say what it's called, but like I basically the amounts like the conversation kind of goes like, oh, I'm just like, oh, what's that? And then she's like, oh, it's my Muslim thingy. It's from my culture, and that's pretty much it. Yeah. If anything, I'd say Kamala's dialogue is just annoying, and that's really the only reason I don't like her. But in terms like in this game's defense, I was like really expecting it to sort of be really preachy when it came to Kamala and be really like, but yeah, no, they didn't do it as much. Like they just brought it up, and even then, I was just kind of like, oh, okay, and then that was it. It wasn't that big of a deal. So props to them for that. But I will say they did write Kamala very poorly. I don't know how many people actually like her or think she's cool because she's not a very cool character in the same like someone like Iron Man or Hulk or something, where it's just like they look cool, like you want to play. Kamala just is a very like kid character. She's very like she's always got very like fangirl like dialogue. It feels like, and what I really hate about the story is like all the Avengers just really like Kamala for some reason. Like I mean, to a point, yeah, sure you would be nice, but no way they're so fucking like you never really see her sort of kind of get backlash by like this is what the like I mean I'm not saying like Iron Man like you can't be like oh Iron Man I'm such a big fan and Iron Man be like shut the fuck up bitch who the fuck are you get the fuck out of here I'm not nothing like that like I'm not saying they should be like dicks to her or anything but there was this like one scene where pretty much what happens is I think it's before like Black Widow becomes a playable character. But what happens is there's these bunch of oaks like in a lab, and Kamala's like, no, we have to go help them. But Bruce Banner and Ant Man are like, nah, we gotta wait until we can like regroup. We can get Iron Man on here, and then we can go. Kamala, it's in like that part of every like of like some movies where like the protagonist like kind of does what they're not supposed to, goes against their like teacher or like their mentor's wishes, and just so Kamala tries to assault this very fortified aim base like prison on her own, like by herself, and she doesn't get very fucking far. She fights a couple of waves at the entrance before she eventually gets overpowered and then taken prisoner, and then she gets broken up by Black Widow. But what I don't like, there's like a dialogue between her and Bruce Banner afterwards, and Bruce Banner's the first person she meets, and I feel like Bruce Banner's like the closest to like a mentor in the campaign. And Bruce Banner doesn't. I was expecting. What I would have liked to see would be like Bruce Banner being mad at Kamala for doing that, because it was a very immature move. Because at least you, in my head, it's like part of being a hero is also knowing when you what's it when to to wait for the best time to do something, to wait for the best time to attack. You to not be impatient, to not just run in head first, but to think a little bit, to be so you can be more effective. Because this did, to me, I thought it was going to be like a very like a learning experience. She was going to be like do something. It was a mature thing to do, an emotional sort of driven sort of act. And I was expecting Bruce Banner to just kind of be like, listen, if you want to be an Avenger, you need to be smarter than this. You need to think about how things are. You cannot possibly. You're young, and you're not like Hulk or somebody like. Sure, you're strong. You don't even know you like have full control of your powers. Like you need to pick your fights pretty much. You can't just rush into things, and then we have to bail you out. That's what I was expecting, and like that would have been a decent. So there's some conflict there. That's not what happened. Bruce Banner pretty much just kind of simps for her. No, not simp, because like that's the wrong word. Because that's like that implies he's trying to smash. He's trying to make like Hulk and smash, but because he's not, it's there's a big age difference, so it'd be inappropriate. But yeah, no, he just kind of goes easy on. He's like, oh no, I'm sorry for not like just rushing in with you. And I thought that's kind of lame. Like, come on. The main character can't just be all happy good times, happy sick times the whole time. There's got to be some sort of, they've got to be criticized. They've got to learn some lessons. They've got to struggle. But that doesn't happen. And then pretty much it just kind of ends like the Avengers. It turns out Captain America's been alive this whole time. He's like the last guy you get. And then the final mission is fun as well. It's like also the best one. They do with Kamala. They do kind of do like a Spider-Man Great Responsibility type of thing. Like Kamala's dad says to her, "Good isn't something you are; it's something you do." And then in the final fight, when she goes like as big as she can with her stretchy powers, and she's fighting like a Kree like Sentinel type guy. She's like fighting MODOK and like. He's like piloting like a big fucking statue. So and like she's like, good isn't something you are. It's something you do. Ah! And fucking yeah. Which it's not terrible. It's not a terrible line. It's not a terrible sort of and it is the idea of like the quote is that good isn't like a quality of your it's an action. It's you do good in the world. You have to. It's a practice, not a character trait, which I think that's a good lesson. But I feel like they kind of only bring it up at the like towards the beginning and like the end. So I kind of would have liked to see, and I also would have liked to see sort of I don't know Kamala kind of because like it kind of just feels like a thing they tacked on. It's not like it was like or what it should have been is like at the beginning she gets told this. But she doesn't really understand like the meaning, like, and then throughout the course of events in the campaign, she learns this lesson, and then at the end, she like that's like when she's fully like she understands the meaning behind it, and but that's not what happens. So yeah, the campaign isn't very good. It's not very cool, and it's kind of a slog. But it's not the worst campaign I've ever played. It's possible. At best, it is possible. It is a possible Avengers story. Um, you, but that is not the worst. I want to now tell you what the fundamental worst thing about this game, the biggest problem this game has, if that it needs to solve if it ever wants to be anything, and that is, simply put, there is fuck all to do. There is nothing to do in this game. And because it's like, it's it has changed. Because I mean, with the Spider-Man update, they made the game a bit less grindy. But before the Spider-Man update, this game is very grind. This game was very grindy. The gear grind is a very hectic one. Because I think the max level was 150. It's changed now, but to get there, it's a lot of hours for each hero to grind, and then it doesn't stop, because then you have to all your gear is like the same level, but now you have to grind for the best possible gear with the best possible perks. But then whenever I'm faced with these, I always ask myself, what am I grinding for? And then if the answer to that is I'm grinding so that I can do the same thing slightly that I've been doing this whole time, maybe slightly easier, then I ask myself again, why the fuck am I playing? And that's the problem with Avengers. It's very repetitive. It's not going to be long before you go through all the content this game has to offer. It needs more things to do in the end game. It has piss poor end game, which is going to be the biggest of the biggest points against it in what's in the final score, is that there's just nothing to do. Yeah, it's sick and fun to be superheroes with your friends. I would really sort of like it. Imagine if you had 4 homies or 3 homies. So one guy could be Captain America, one guy could be Iron Man, another Spider-Man, another Hulk. That sounds really fun. You could feel like an Avengers team and taking down sort of. But how many times is everyone going to want to do the same few missions over and over again? With these characters, because that's essentially what it is. There's no end game. There's no variety. You're essentially going to be playing the same couple missions over and over and over again. There's also no enemy. There's some enemy, but they're all robots. You're always fighting robots and different variations of robots. And I really want to see a lot more sort of maybe different kinds of enemies to fight. And we did kind of get them the Black Panther expansion, but even then there wasn't enough content to sort of. Sure, Black Panther's cool. He's a cool character. The Wakanda map, but at the end of the day, what do they really add to the game? They had the Horde mode, which I guess it's a start, but it needs way more. Because they added a new outpost, which Wakanda, which is a very cool outpost for a couple minutes. But essentially, what is that? What does the outpost do differently? It's essentially just another terminal to change your hero, to accept missions, or to choose missions. Another terminal for faction. It doesn't add a new faction, just the 2 that were already in the game. What is different? Not much. It's purely a visual thing. There are some new missions in Wakanda, but not enough to make me come back to the game, because I want this game to succeed. I want this game to do well. I really want. I want one day and also this game it's not as big as problems, but I want a better roster, which we are hopefully getting. I don't know how much they're gonna how many heroes they're gonna add before they kind of pull the plug on this game. But I hope before that happens, they are able to turn it around, and because I feel they still can, because they like I said before, the hero development, the actual how the heroes play is good. It's very good, but I need more. abilities to sort of like not abilities but like opportunities to sort of use these different heroes um, without just getting bored from like it's like the biggest problem with it is just it's repetitive. It's very very repetitive, you know, and that's like it needs to kill that. It needs to kill that, you know. That's the big thing holding it back. But also we need more variety with heroes because so we do have like there was like a leaked DLC list of like planned characters like a while ago, which and like that's like what I'm going according to. But so now like the most sort of unique, like if you look at Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, Captain America, Black Panther, and Black Widow, those heroes are kind of very similar to each other because they're all just like kind of regular guys, you know, which is fine. But especially with Hawkeye and Kate, they're way too similar conceptually. They're both Archer characters. I really want to see I want to see people like Doctor Strange and maybe Wanda, like Scarlet Witch or Ghost Rider. I really want to see some cool characters. And I feel like it's sad, but I feel like if you look up the leaked list of characters that are supposedly coming, I think once they put those characters in, no more updates after that. No more updates. I feel like, which is sad because there's a few big characters I would love to see in this game, like Wolverine, and he isn't not even just that, not even the X-Men, just Wolverine himself. It would be sick if you could add some more X-Men people like Nightcrawler or Beast, some of the really cool ones. But Wolverine is the must because he is an Avenger. He's been an Avenger in the comics, not in the movies yet. But he isn't. So there is present to them. Also, another one I want to see is the Punisher. Personal favorite of mine. I kind of just I want a bit more of a gritty hero on the team. With Black Widow uses guns, but I want to see like a guy who uses guns. I want to see I feel like the Punisher will be a really cool hero. Deadpool also. He same thing like guns and stuff, but you could for him and Wolverine you could have like a regen mechanic, like they regen health all the time. And obviously Deadpool would use katanas and guns and stuff. I feel like Deadpool would be really cool. You could even have him teleport because I think in the comics Deadpool does have that ability. At some point he can teleport. So that'd be cool. I'm just trying to think. Vision would also be nice. I think he is coming if the DLC, if the leaked list is to be believed. But I want to check back in the game off. I want to see what they do with it, especially maybe at the end of next year. I'll bring up another. I'll look at what they accomplished during the year, because they did kind of. I'll try to be fair. I was thinking, while they really did, they had a whole year to put in stuff and they really didn't do much. But then I also remember we are in the COVID times. We are in the age of Corona. And so I did hear like a lot of the developers were like working from home. And I'm not a developer. I don't code. I don't know anything. So I imagine that really puts us like a sort of a limiter on how fast things can be made for this game if everyone's working from home and not in like a shared space. But I hope they can at least maybe because now they've had like a year, so I hope maybe they can maybe make a bit more progress because this game needs it, otherwise it's going to die. Although fun fact though, this game does make a fair bit of money. It's apparently like a lot of whales play this game, and like especially because they have movie suits, which some are cool, some aren't. But apparently this game is like one of the it's like in the top 10 of like most lucrative games. I remember hearing it wasn't like high up there, obviously, because it's not as like popular, but it does have a dedicated player base, and it does make a lot of money from microtransactions. So I'm hoping I want to give this game a fair few years to sort of try and fix everything. But if they can't, well then at some point I'm just gonna have to call that the game's like dead, and it's not gonna, because they need to fix like the content issue. The content issue is the biggest like cancer in this game. It is, there's nothing to do. There's just nothing to like interesting to really do after a while. So now I did touch on it, but I wanna talk about uh the quality of microtransactions a little bit. So for like a long time, when the game released, before we got the movie skins are like the only real ones I care about. Because I like having all my guys look cool. So I like kind of, and like I like, so I try to like have them look like the Avengers, or like a mixture between like movies and comics. Uh, but yeah, so yeah, the only, what I will say that's negative about it is way too expensive. Way too expensive. You have to pay like, it's almost like $500 for like a skin, for like a movie skin, which is ridiculous. But yet there are people who are like, this game still makes money. People are buying these cosmetics, these whales. They're just buying them whenever. Um, you and like again, like I said with like Fortnite, the microtransactions in any game should be a bit more cost effective, and like just like it should give you good value for money, and it should be not cheap maybe, but definitely like affordable for the average person. Because you want to sort of prey into that that like, oh, no, I've got some cash, maybe I'll buy myself a cool skin for like the guy like I most like playing as. You Let me spend $100 here, or like $200 here, and yeah, and get this skin because they'd make more money, because the whales are still going to buy every fucking skin, but now the average person can buy a little bit more for something for themselves. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much all I have to like say. Like, yeah, just wish the microtransactions were a little bit more affordable. Another thing is the joining thing. I remember, I think this game does peer-to-peer connection, and it's not on the server. So like it connects users directly to each other when they like team up. And I remember when me and my friend tried to play this for the first time ever. Um, I had LTE almost exclusive. Well, like he had LTE actually. So we couldn't play because NAT type issues. He had NAT type 3, I had NAT type 2, and like we couldn't play. It wouldn't let us join each other, which was a headache. So I didn't really put a lot of time into the game when it first came out. It was only until he got like fiber where we could actually play the game together, and even then it kind of fizzled out because there was nothing to do. So yeah, I would maybe say like they could, if they make dedicated servers. Especially one, and I wish more games would make servers for South Africa, man. We never get servers. We always have to like settle for the Middle East server or something like that. Like, and I feel like maybe it's like I don't know how good I really am at games, because I mean I always have to play with a handicap, and the handicap is bad internet. Yeah, it's pretty it's pretty sad in that moment. So I guess it's time. It's that time of the video again. It's the time of the it's time I throw that shit up on the motherfucking Jamatron, and I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5, which is a very low score. And because like I said before, I want this game to do well, but I can't really recommend it to anyone. I wouldn't, unless you really like Marvel games. I wouldn't say play this. I'd say maybe wait a year or two, wait for the roster to fill up a little bit more, wait for there to be a bit more content, because it's not impossible for games like we had No Man's Sky, which was a disaster at launch, but they fixed it and they made it everything it should be, and now that game's doing well, I think. They Same thing with Fallout 76. It's a little bit better than like when it was at launch, and it was a disaster at launch. It was actually terrible. Although I haven't played Fallout 76, so I can't say. But yeah, so 4 out of 10. That's because mainly like comes from just there not being anything to do, which kills the fun and kills the enthusiasm for me. So I really do want to recommend this game to people. I really want people to play this game, but I can't, in good conscience, like recommend it to people when I know from playing it that it's not the best game. And there's probably definitely more fun online games than Marvel's Avengers. So yeah, that's it. That's me. If you agree, and also you hate this game, drop a comment. If you disagree, you think I'm a cunt, and the Avengers game is the greatest game ever made, drop me a motherfucking comment. Tell me I'm a cunt. I want to hear it. If you enjoyed that, if you enjoy seeing me talk very unorganized about games and movies and shit like that, please fucking drop a like or don't. Mostly subscribe. That's really what I would, if anything. If you give me anything, give me a subscribe. That would help me out. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I've been Timothy Jams, and fuck off.